I wanted the apartment to feel colourful but natural at the same time. A lot of my decoration is illustration-based. It's got a lot of colour. I collect a lot of prints. We have touches of yellow that bring me joy in the winter months. The main motivation for the layout of the apartment was to have one large multifunctional space with smaller bedroom and bathroom areas. I wanted more space for clothes, household items, my sewing machine, these sort of things, but to be able to hide them away. I'm Caroline Duncan. I'm a French-American architect living in Paris. I've been living in this apartment for 3 years with my boyfriend Hector and my cat Simon. Just hanging out. This apartment is located in the Belleville area near the Jourdain metro station. This is in the 19th arrondissement. It feels like a village in the upper hills of Paris. This building itself is on the main Rue de Belleville, which is a very busy and commercial street. But the nice thing about this building is that we're actually quite shielded from the traffic and the noise. This building was probably built in the early 1900s. It was probably a workers' housing unit. Historically, this apartment would have had a lot of partitions, and this main large space was divided into a bedroom and a living room. However, the previous owner had already removed this partition, making it into one very large space. When I visited the apartment for the first time, I was really mesmerized by the large open kitchen and living room and the natural light flooding in here from the south-facing facade. When I bought the flat, the main thing that I wanted to do was really create a very separate bathroom connected to the WC, accessible from the corridor rather than accessible from the bedroom. So we created a new partition between the bedroom and the bathroom. We also used the leftover space from the WC to add a washing machine, closet, and a space for the litter box. Another thing that I wanted to do was add quite a lot of storage. There was only one storage unit in the existing apartment. So we created a combined unit combining kitchen items and clothes dressing units with a secret passage into the bedroom.
Hot damn! Jump on board for a wild ride into a world of colour, creativity, design and delight with this bold and beautiful issue of our magazine. First stop is Madrid, with Gone architects who are bringing bathrooms back, and sexy too. And then we have some Neapolitan magic for you with La Fotosintesi. Get ready to have your mind blown and your eyeballs elated with their imaginative approach to colour and design. Bellissimo! From the hot kitschy mess and magnificence of Memphis, Milano, to the pinky hues synonymous with the grandfather of Mexican modernism, Luis Barragan, we explore the language of colour, how colour and culture intersect, and how colour builds desire too, with small home inspiration from Kuala Lumpur, Sydney and Naples, and a tour of Ricardo Bofill's Symphony of Terracotta and Turquoise, Walden 7. There's so much more inside, including expert advice on how best to welcome colour into the walls of your home, a typewriter with nipples, and nudie Rudy rugs. Wild! Get your copy now. Visit nevertoosmall.com/store.
The main entrance corridor is quite narrow. It's very dark, but you can see the natural light coming in from the living room. We have quite a few coats in the winter months, so we added some coat hooks on the back of the door. On the wall, we installed a hay wall shelf with bag hooks concealed underneath and some space to put in keys. We found a narrow profile shoe cabinet, which is really convenient for putting away all of our shoes in this narrow space. We used the space above the door to store spare toilet paper and cleaning products. In order to conceal the stuff from view, I sewed a small Norin curtain above the shelf. Within the entrance, we were able to use the leftover space from the old WC to install a small washer-dryer space. It just fit into the very narrow cupboard. We lifted up the machines so that I could install the cat's litter box underneath, saving space again. I made a small notch into the cupboard door so that Simon, our cat, can access his litter box. Once you step through the corridor into the main living space, you're greeted by two large windows giving in a lot of natural light. We can still see the cornice moulding and traces of the previous partition dividing the space in the ceiling. I think it's nice to keep traces of the historical movements that this apartment has been through. The chimney conduits from the building jut out, which was the perfect space to install some custom shelves, and the vintage radio station and record player unit, which I brought back from when I lived in California. Inside I store the Wi-Fi box and my records. Because I can always use more shoe storage, I bought this vintage shoe cabinet online. I was really keen to create more seating space because I like to have people over, and the couch was not enough. I custom built the bench around a Muji storage unit module, which were able to slide perfectly into the boxes. When it's nice out, I like to open the windows and sit on the bench and pretend like I have a balcony. For the sofa, I really wanted something that we could host our friends when they come and visit. I was looking for something light, something low, that would still allow visibility through to the windows as it sits in the middle of the space. The material is a green felt, because felt is one of the materials that my cat does not scratch on. The first mattress goes down on the floor and it becomes a double person bed. Hector and I sometimes work from home, so we needed an office space within this large living room. We found this wall-hung secretary unit from Montana Furniture, based in Copenhagen. It acts as a decoration shelf, but also conceals the work desk. So the main kitchen portion is made from IKEA method boxes, for which we custom made some fronts out of birch plywood. These porcelain handles came from my parents' kitchen. I had the countertop custom made from a white Phoenix laminate, which is convenient for cooking and doesn't show too many fingerprints. I love KitKat tiles for the sort of verticality that it brings. It makes the space feel a little bit larger. Where we were able to save money on the kitchen by using IKEA, we were able to splurge on a couple little gadgets. The faucet has a boiling water feature, which is really convenient for making tea and hot water bottles in the winter months. We built in a soap dispenser so that the worktop can stay clean. The cabinets above the range hood are the only closed cabinets. I wanted open shelving above the rest of the kitchen for decoration items and my coffee making collection. The shelves I made from the same wood from my previous apartment's bookshelf, and I rounded the corner to soften the edge. I purposefully left a space between the green part and the floating shelves so that I could install this sconce from Marseille-based artist Axel Shea. The table is a mid-century Danish dining table, which we got secondhand. It extends on both sides so that we can have either 4 people or 6 people over for dinner. The chairs are also secondhand. I've reupholstered them in a dark blue velvet, another fabric which the cat does not damage. Over the dining table, I added this pendant, which I built from various electrical components, and a lampshade that I found at a marketplace. The fireplace is original to the apartment, but does not work anymore. I use it as a space for decoration for my plants. It's quite traditional in Parisian apartments to have these marble shelves on top of the radiator. They help to diffuse heat, but also to conceal the top of the radiator, which is unsightly. On the back wall of the kitchen and living space is this large custom-built storage unit, which combines kitchen features and living room storage features. We built this unit from a combination of IKEA Method and IKEA Pax dressing room units. We chose to custom make all of the fronts. The handles are from the kids' wardrobe section at the hardware store. In order to finish all of the details, we had a professional woodworker come and create the alcove out of plywood, and we also had him finish the corner of the unit with these rounded shelves. In the wardrobe portion, we have a combination of hanging space and drawer space. The door to the bedroom is finished with a mirror, which helps us get dressed in the morning, but also creates a privacy zone between the bedroom and the living room. The bedroom is raised on a platform as the plumbing runs from the kitchen out into a corner of the bedroom. I wanted it to feel very calm and soft in here, a lot of whites and beige. The floor is a woven jute, which feels really nice and textured under your feet. Behind the bed, there is an existing fireplace conduit, which I couldn't remove. I chose to extend this conduit with a plasterboard projection to create a headboard for the bed. Within the niche, we added shelves. We also installed a power socket so that we could plug in our projector and project movies onto the opposite wall. On either side of the niche, I installed 2 vintage IKEA sconces, which pivot and give a really cool quality of light. The bed is a Floyd platform bed, which I've had for years and brought back with me from the States. I actually had to cut the boards down for this room so that it could circulate around the bed. With the leftover pieces of wood from cutting the bed, I made the 3 floating shelves on the right-hand side of the bed. We only have 1 nightstand, a floating module from Montana Furniture. In such a small space, it's nice to prioritize wall-mounted units, freeing up floor space, making it easier to clean. There were 2 small leftover nooks on either side of the bedroom. We maximized the use of them by adding shelves and hangers to store some extra clothes. We chose to sew 2 Norin curtains out of the same fabric from the entrance. It was quite complicated to create cupboard doors, plus we did not have the floor space for real swinging doors. The bathroom is just about 2 square meters. Often in Parisian apartments, the WC is in a separate room, but here I chose to combine it within the bathroom just to save space. Within the shower ceiling, I installed a small hook which allows us to hang our deployable Muji cloth hanger to dry our clothes. We built in shelves which we tiled for storing soaps and shampoos. The partition between the shower and the sink is purposefully not full height. It allows the perfect amount of protection from water, but creates a feeling that the space is bigger with access to the natural light. We have plenty of storage provided by the 3-part mirrored cabinet above the sink. Below the sink, within the plasterboard built out, we have added a tile access hatch to store extra toilet paper reserves and cleaning supplies. When designing a small space, I think it's really important to understand one's habits and how you inhabit a small space. For me, my priorities for living in this flat was really maximizing the large living space in which I spend most of the time. Having a big bathroom and a big bedroom were not very important priorities for me, as I do not spend a lot of time there. It's important in a city like Paris that has a shortage of housing to be able to breathe new life into these older apartments that are very small surfaces and often stay unbought or unused for many years. Renovating these small spaces and putting them up to date with the way that people live nowadays and how priorities have shifted makes them more accessible for future use.
Sign up to our newsletter for subscriber-only content and exclusive offers. Visit nevertoosmall.com/subscribe.